Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are going to build your ultimate investor's toolkit. We're going to look past all the noise and the headlines to uncover 4 really powerful ideas that help you see what truly separates a great world-class business from one that's, just pretty good. So what is that secret sauce? What's the magic ingredient? Well, it's not always about having the biggest profits or the flashiest new product. A lot of the time, the real genius is hidden in the numbers, in how a company runs its day-to-day operations. And that is exactly what we're going to dig into. All right, let's start by popping the hood. Our very first tool is a way to measure a company's engine, and it's called asset turnover. This one tells a fantastic story about pure, raw operational efficiency. To put it simply, asset turnover answers a really important question. For every single dollar a company has tied up in its assets, we're talking things like factories, machines, even office buildings, how many dollars in sales can it actually generate? A company that can squeeze more sales out of its assets is just running a much, much tighter ship. Here's a great way to think about it. An Uber driver's main asset is, of course, their car. The more rides they complete, the more money they collect, the higher their asset turnover is. It's pretty obvious, right? A car that's constantly on the move making money is way more efficient than one just sitting parked in a garage. Well, that exact same principle applies to giant companies. And you can see how this plays out in the real world right here. A powerhouse company like Hindustan Unilever can take just $1 of assets and generate a whole lot of sales from it. But then you look at a struggling penny stock, they might have assets on paper, but they can barely get any sales from them. Their engine is just completely sputtering. Okay, so building on that idea of efficiency, let's talk about something that is absolutely critical: cash. More specifically, we're going to look at what's called the cash conversion cycle, which, when you boil it down, is all about the timing of money coming in and money going out. This is one of the most fundamental questions for any business out there. The cash cycle measures the time from the moment a company spends cash on, say, raw materials, to the moment it gets that cash back in its pocket from a customer. And it's pretty simple. A shorter cycle is almost always better. So imagine you're running a little t-shirt business. On day 1, you pay cash for a big roll of fabric. It takes you about 10 days to cut it, sew it, and get your t-shirts ready to sell. Then, it takes another 20 days to actually sell them and get the cash from your customers. In this case, your money was tied up for a full 30 days. And this is where you see the difference between a good business and a truly great one. While our t-shirt business has a 30-day cash cycle, a company like Hull has a, get this, negative 52-day cycle. Just pause and think about that. How is a negative number even possible? It means they get paid by their customers a whopping 52 days before they have to pay their own suppliers. They are literally being funded by their supply chain. That is a sign of incredible market power. Now, that kind of market power is a real but hidden sign of a great business. But sometimes, companies use more obvious and, let's be honest, often misleading signals to get investors excited. So let's bust a few myths and tackle 2 of the biggest: stock splits and bonus issues. Do they actually make you any wealthier? Let's find out. Okay, so a stock split is actually pretty simple. The company just takes its existing shares and divides them up. For example, if you own 1 share that's worth 10 rupees, after a 2-for-1 split, you now own 2 shares, and each one is worth 5 rupees. The main reason they do this is to make the share price look lower and feel more affordable to more investors. So the key thing to remember here is that nothing fundamentally changes about the company itself. Its profits are the same, its assets are the same. The pie of your ownership has just been sliced into more smaller pieces. The second that split happens, your total investment value is exactly the same. All right, next up, bonus issues. I mean, the name itself sounds fantastic, doesn't it? A bonus. The company is giving you extra shares for free. But again, we have to look under the hood and see what's really happening with the numbers. Okay, let's just walk through a quick example. Imagine you own 100 shares in a company. And let's say the company has a total fund or book value of 3,000 rupees backing all its shares. That means each of your shares has an underlying value of 30 rupees. Simple enough. Now the company announces a 1-for-1 bonus. Suddenly you have 200 shares. Looks great, right? But hold on, did the company just magically create more value? Nope. Its total fund is still 3,000 rupees, but now there are twice as many shares out there. So the book value for each individual share just got cut in half, down to 15 rupees. Your total holding is still worth exactly the same. It's not really a bonus, it's just an accounting shuffle. So you might be asking, if these things don't really create value, why do companies even do them? Well, it's mostly about perception, making a share price look more affordable. But what happens when a company decides not to play that game? Take a look at this number, 57,000 rupees. Now, that's not a company's profit. At one point, that was the price of a single share of the Indian tire company MRF. And to a lot of people, that looks just outrageously expensive. How could one share be worth so much? Well, the answer is incredibly simple. The reason MRF's price tag is so high is because the company has never, ever diluted its shares with splits or bonus issues. The ownership pie has never been cut into smaller pieces, so over time, each individual slice has just grown to be very, very large. And this is where it all comes together. If you just ignore that big sticker price and look at the real valuation metrics, things like the price to earnings or price to book ratios, you see a totally different story. MRF isn't necessarily overvalued at all. In fact, compared to its competitors, its valuation can be quite reasonable, sometimes even cheaper. That high price is just an illusion created by a lack of splits, not a sign of an overpriced business. So, after popping the hood and busting a few myths, what's the big takeaway? Well, you now have a much more sophisticated set of tools to analyze any business. A toolkit that goes way beyond just glancing at a share price or reading a profit headline. Let's recap the 4 keys. Remember, a high asset turnover means you've got an efficient engine. A negative cash cycle signals incredible market power. Stock splits and bonus issues? They're about perception and liquidity. They are not free money. And finally, and this is a big one, a high share price does not mean a company is overvalued. By looking for these hidden signs of quality, you can really start to see what makes a business tick, what makes it great. So the next time you're looking at a company, which of these new tools will you use first to peek behind the curtain? That's all for this one. Thanks for tuning in.